Welcome to the channel, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to my review, retrospective, I guess, on V for Vendetta. Now, I love this film. I've long loved this film. It is a spectacular film for many reasons, and we'll go into some of them today. Not only the fact that it was actually the director's directorial debut. Yep, well, feature, but still, nonetheless, feature directorial debut. And I watched this again because of everything that's happening in the world today, and I remember there being some comparisons, and I thought, I'm going to sit down and watch this film. I absolutely adore it. It truly is a fantastic film, and it really does hold up. It absolutely holds up. So what are we talking about? Well, we're talking about the 2005 dystopian political superhero action film, directed by James McTelgue. I probably butchered that. It had a screenplay by the Wachowskis, when they were the Wachowski brothers at the time. And it's adapted from V for Vendetta, a graphic novel. Now, it features Hugo Weaving as V, John Hurt as Adam Sutler, Stephen Fry as Dietrich, and Natalie Portman as Evie Hammond. This film, absolutely, it's so good. It's so good. Now we have V, the sort of masked vigilante slash superhero guy V, a chap who runs around in the iconic Guy Fawkes mask, and that's essentially, this is a modern retelling of the gunpowder plot to blow up Parliament, but told through a new lens and for a new sort of political, it's the same political meaning, in fact, basically. It's essentially, government becomes too powerful, its people are too scared, its people willingly, obviously it's England, right, but Britain. It's people willingly gave over power, and again, the sort of comparisons that we can draw nowadays, of course, because of what's happened and the amount of power that, especially if you don't know, but the British government has currently accrued, has been quite large actually, and it's gone completely unquestioned. The Coronavirus Act has given the government sweeping powers, very, very scary sweeping powers, hence why I said I wanted to watch this film again, because I remember there being some pretty interesting comparisons. But basically, this is a modern retelling of Remember the 5th of November. So V rocks around in a Guy Fawkes mask and plans to blow up Parliament 1 year from our first meeting of him on the 5th of November. And V, played by Hugo Weaving, is a stellar character. The amount of, and I'm going to say it, the amount of emoting this chap does whilst not moving a single inch of his face, because it's covered up by a bloody mask, is nothing short of astounding. The fact that Hugo Weaving can, in his voice, I don't remember if he was actually in the outfit at the time, but the subtle movements and the nuance that he brings to this performance, and we don't even see his face, is, the chap, you talk about Oscars being handed out for nonsense. That's an Oscar-worthy performance, simply because you really feel for this guy. You really, really do feel for this guy. And the sort of lyrical genius behind the writing of V was just amazing. This retrospective review is me simply gushing over it, but giving you my reasons why I love it so much. Now, Natalie Portman plays Evie Hammond, and that's an interesting character. Obviously, her parents were freedom fighters back in the day. They were political activists, and V sees in her himself. And it loops itself all the way back around towards the end when, obviously, V, spoiler alert, dies, and Natalie Portman stands there with the detective or the inspector and just says, "Look, V is everyone. V's me. He's my, he was my mother. He was my father. He's you. He is everyone." And that's a powerful message. That is a really powerful message. But it was interesting that character was, one was chosen to be portrayed by Natalie Portman. Her accent was a little bit off here and there, but I think actually she gave a really good performance here, and that the fact that she actually did shave her head for this was great. I mean, commitment to the role, for goodness sake, absolutely commitment to the role. John Hurt gives a astounding performance as a religious zealot, chancellor, sutler in charge of the United Kingdom. Absolutely, I mean, he really goes ham. He looks like he's about to blow a blood vessel. It's a powerful performance. He is angry, he is twisted, he is insecure, he's paranoid, and you can see it all. You can see it all in his the subtle emoting in his face, right round to when we actually pick him up at the end of the film in person, and he cowers like a little pansy. You can really see a fantastic performance from John Hurt. It really is. Stephen Fry looks incredibly young in this film. But Stephen Fry is basically Stephen Fry. I'm not going to give him a massive clap on the back for his performance here. He was fine. He was fine. Now, this film, on a whole, I mean, it had a box office taking of $132.5 million all in. And it was made on a budget of $54 million. And this was back in 2005. That would have been a reasonably high amount back then. The taking that they would have got, they would have seen it as reasonably okay. Not a huge win, but reasonably okay. But when I'm looking at it, I don't understand where $54 million went, because a lot of this stuff was shot, singularly in one or two rooms. There were what looks to be a blockade in sort of Parliament, near Parliament in the UK, but I don't understand where the budget went that much. And looking at it now, I am genuinely surprised, because if you want just a comparison, for comparison's sake, ladies and gents, The Matrix had a budget of $63 million. So when you're comparing them, 54, 63, I become a little bit disenfranchised with where this budget went. But, $135.2 million, $132.5 million, sorry, box office taking, not terrible. But what I think perhaps surprises me the most is it only has a 73% on Rotten Tomatoes and an 8.1 on IMDb. This is a great film, make no mistake. It is a fantastic film. The music, the score, the cinematography. I think what potentially lets it down, and it is really only a very small minor nitpick here and there, is the sound design. So the sound effects of the knives whipping around through through V's hands and things like that. But I think that there's a subtle charm in that, and I think it actually gives the film a little bit more, I don't know, sort of hyper realism. It grounds it in that comic book world just that little bit more. But yeah, if you have not seen this film, you really must. It's a powerful film. From start to finish, scenes where you have Natalie Portman's Evie Hammond retelling how her parents were taken, how it loops itself all the way back around to her friend being taken, and you can see inch by inch her reality shattering as she realises she must confront the British government at the time and become essentially a new V. Become a V. And the sort of retelling of the 5th of November, Guy Fawkes, it makes for a compelling narrative, especially in how they've done it here and the motive behind V. A man turned monster by religious zealotry, and then that religious zealotry taking over the country, enforcing their rule above all else, with plagues and pestilence, essentially. It's a great film. It's a really good film. If you haven't seen it, you must watch it. This will absolutely get one of my Mr. H seals of approval. This is a stellar film from start to finish. You must watch it. So if you have watched it, of course you have, let me know your thoughts down below. Thank you so much for watching this brief, quick retrospective review, just my rambly thoughts. Thank you so much. Take care.